All right, week one recap for our Pick'em contest. Each week, Matthew and I give out our favorite underdog over and under pick. We tally those up with 1 point each based on how many you get correct and have the best of first weeks. Unlike Matthew, we're going to get into reviewing our picks. I will say last week we talked about punishments, and one of the ideas that was floated out. We're going to try to work something out before we officially maybe announce that we're going with a poll or what the punishment will be. Matthew, you and I hadn't talked about it since I texted you about it the other week, but I'm going to try to pursue that idea.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I was wondering if you had put out the poll yet because I was getting questions asked to me by people of when the poll was going to come out. I did put the poll up. If you're a Spotify listener, I did put the poll up on Spotify. I didn't even know this was a thing, but apparently if you scroll down through the description, you can put polls in Spotify. I was the only person who voted in ours, and I voted for the national championship prediction tattoo. But yeah, we're chasing a sponsorship right now. If not, the poll should be coming soon.
Yes. We're trying to secure the bag and create some good content at the same time. So more on that in the future. But regardless, we still got to make these picks each week. Matthew went with a undefeated record in week one, and I went 2 for 2. So Matthew on the season leads 4-2.
Yeah, I'm like that. I'm that guy. I'm him. I went 4-0 week one. Let's go.
See if you can keep that magic this week.
I wouldn't put money on it, but the
We
stats
technically are.
The stats are in my favor. I did want to say about one of your picks last week, the USF Western Kentucky game. It is a bold pick, and USF did put on a good showing and better than they had looked in years. So it's good foresight for you. It's just they're not quite there yet to compete.
Was hoping their offensive production was gonna make up for the lack of Kent State, and honestly, I can't for the life of me remember what the point total ended up being in that game, but UCF did put up some points.
Yeah, it was a closer game than a lot of experts would have thought. So. Did want to give you some credit on that one. Getting in the week two, want to move on to our favorite picks. I'm going my favorite this week, Colorado. Hard to pick against them. They're facing Nebraska. They're a 3-point favorite right now against Nebraska. I think it's going to be a blowout. Nebraska isn't going to keep up with Colorado's speed. Colorado has athletes all over the roster, all over the field, offense, defense. That one's not going to be close.
I looked at that one. I considered that one, but going back to my earlier point, I don't know. There was a lot of hype. They look great, but I don't want to put any money on Colorado as of yet till we get a little bit bigger sample size. For my favorite, I went with Texas A&M minus 4.5 at Miami. Didn't look too bad last week, and I'm hitching my wagon to the Aggies there.
All right, moving to underdog. I'm taking Northwestern. They're only a 1-point underdog to UTEP this weekend, University of Texas El Paso. For those who don't know what UTEP means, I don't know. I
played them once many years ago.
Yeah, I mean UTEP also. I think there's like a movie about their basketball program or something. It's an old Disney movie, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about either of these teams, honestly. +1 is a pretty tight margin, and Northwestern is usually a decent team. UTEP is a decent team, so basically just picking Northwestern to win that one outright.
My underdog pick is Vanderbilt +10.5 at Wake Forest. I was pleasantly surprised in Vanderbilt's week 0 performance. Wasn't overly impressed with Wake Forest's week 1 performance, the first game post Sam Hartman, and 10.5 points to an SEC team. I don't think Wake Forest covers that spread. So I'm taking Vanderbilt plus 10.5.
That's interesting. I was kind of impressed with Wake Forest's week 1 performance. I know they didn't have like stiff competition or anything, but I thought I watched a good amount of that game. I thought their offense moved pretty well. Vanderbilt, I wasn't that impressed with against Hawaii, so that's an interesting pick. I've thought about going the opposite way on that one, honestly, and putting that for my favorite. So I'm interested to see how that one's going to turn out. Moving on to
Haven't had one of
over.
those yet this year.
Yeah. Moving on to over. I think this is another game I don't really know anything about. Picking Marshall at ECU. That's plus or minus 44. 44 is just really low for a football game nowadays. I mean, I don't really have any evidence about which way or another. I just picked that one.
My over pick, I'm going Notre Dame at NC State. Over under set at 51. Notre Dame has put up some points already. NC State has had an offense that's been able to move the ball. I think 51 is low for this matchup here, so I'm taking the over there.
All right, and lastly, going on to under. I did a really bad job with picks this week because I don't know anything about any of these teams that I picked. I'm picking Ohio versus FAU. That's plus or minus 61.5. I did see a little bit of Ohio last week and FAU last week. Both good teams. I just think 61.5 is a little high. I expect that one to be a little lower scoring, but again, no evidence. I'm just picking.
I'm going kind of against your favorite pick there. I'm taking Nebraska at Colorado under 59.5. It did not look great in their first game. I don't see them putting up a lot of points, and I also see Colorado kind of losing a little bit of its luster a little bit this week. I may be wrong, and you talk about their Heisman Trophy aspirations. I don't want to against them. That'd be awesome if you see a two-way player win a Heisman Trophy. I got to see it before I can believe it. So I don't think you're going to see the points that Colorado put up last week again this week against Nebraska.
Yeah, I feel very confident in them. I watched a lot of that game against TCU last week, and they're very pass heavy offense, but which usually would make me feel a little hesitant picking them for anything really, because it's almost like in basketball, you live by the 3, you die by the 3, you live by the pass, you die by the pass. It's almost in that same vein, but just the way they were able to move the ball, and I know TCU's defense isn't stellar, but I think they're going to have matchup advantages across the board, which is why I'm leaning that way.